Joining us now is David Zerwick, media critic for the Baltimore Sun, also Daily Beast columnist, PBS contributor, best-selling author, and former colleague Jeff Greenfield. It's great to have you both on, though I'm sorry it's under this topic. David, you've been writing about this now for the past few days. You say that Brian Williams should step down, at least as the managing editor of NBC Nightly News. Why?
You know, what we know, Anderson, and this story really has, exploded, and there's all kinds of aspects of it on social media and everywhere, and charges and countercharges and all that. But what we know to be true, if we go back to old school journalism, said, what do we know to be true at this point? What we know to be true is that Brian Williams lied about the helicopter he was in getting hit by RPG fire in Iraq in 2003. The other stuff that the report set up that's out there is really devastating, but just limited to this. I don't think a person who has told that kind of lie, and that's what it is, don't call it misremembering, don't call it anything else, it's a lie, should be the managing editor, and probably not the anchor, of the largest daily newscast on American television. I think that's a position of tremendous trust and tremendous prestige, especially the managing editor aspect of it. And if you're in the business of credibility, you can't have someone who tells these kinds of stories as your face and as your newsroom leader, unless our standards have slipped to the point where it's now okay for that kind of person to be in charge. And I think, listen, I don't know. That may be something NBC says is fine. We can live with it for economic reasons, but I don't,
Jeff Greenfield, what do you make of this? Because, I mean, everybody I know who's, spent a lot of time out in the field tends to downplay all the experiences they've had of personal danger, things like that. I mean, how do you see this?
I'll give you what might be a plausible scenario. And it stems from the fact that in this day and age, and Anderson, you know this 100 times better than I do, the anchor has to be something other than a deliverer of gravitas. He has to be a vivid personality. The network CNN started with the premise that the news is the star. That was never true, and it certainly isn't true now at any network. And vividness, that's why so many of you folks are put, I think, in areas where there is war or natural disaster or some horrible event, because there is a way that connects. The only thing that I can figure out is that in his desire to connect more, particularly with people in the military who face real danger every day, to be seen as more of a person, not a multi-million-dollar celebrity anchor, but as a person undergoing some of what the grunts undergo. He concocted or conflated, whatever the right word is, or made up this story to be more in the center of events. Now, that's a thesis.
But, Jeff, what's interesting about it is there were other people involved in his reporting in all these cases. I mean, there would have been a crew with him on that helicopter. There would have been a producer with him, and other people who knew what had actually happened. So why didn't they speak up? Or if they did, what does it say about NBC News that nobody listened?
Let's commit candor here, Anderson. If you are the anchor of the nightly news or the anchor in waiting, how comfortable would a subordinate be to challenge that person and say, Brian, you're blowing smoke? Yeah,
but I can tell you my executive producer I've traveled with extensively in very dangerous places. My cameramen, they like to, take me down a few pegs every time we're out in the field. So I think they would be very quick to say, what are you saying,
Anderson, I think maybe, listen, I think...
Sorry, go ahead, David.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Jeff, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's okay. David, go ahead. You have a point to make.
No, I wanted to thank you for that candor, and it may be really, Jeff, you've worked in both cable and network TV, but I think maybe my perception of covering this for a long time is that especially in network television, the anchor has such tremendous power, especially when they have that title of managing editor, whether they flex those muscles or not, that it would be at enormous risk that you would say anything to contradict such a PR statement on their behalf. They may not be able to fire